The name I shouldn't know. The planet below was dead. Black rocks, broken ruins, and no life. The sky above was gray, with clouds that didn't move. It was quiet. Too quiet. Jace, a young human pilot, walked slowly across the cold ground. His boots made soft crunching sounds. He was supposed to return to base hours ago. But then he saw the signal. A weak, flickering light coming from an old tower deep in the mountains. He followed it. Alone. Inside the broken tower, he found something. He didn't expect a woman. Not human. Her skin was pale silver. Her eyes were closed. She lay on the stone floor, still and silent like a statue. She was alive, but barely. Jace checked for wounds. No blood, no burns, but her body was ice cold. "I can't leave you here," he said softly. He lifted her gently and carried her back to his ship. His hands shook. He didn't know what species she was. He didn't even know if she was dangerous. But something deep inside told him. She needed help. The ship's doors closed behind them with a soft hiss. The heating system turned on. Jace laid the alien woman on the medical bed and started scanning her. "Vitals are low. Brain activity stable," he muttered, reading the screen. "Who are you?" He watched her face. She looked peaceful, calm, but at the same time he felt like he knew her. He stared for a long moment and then, without thinking, he whispered, "Your name is Lyra." Her eyes flew open, glowing, bright. She sat up fast and grabbed his wrist with a strength that surprised him. "What did you say?" she demanded, voice sharp and full of fear. Jace didn't pull back. "I said your name. Lyra." She stared at him, her eyes wide. "There's no way you could know that, human." He took a slow breath. "I don't know how I know, I just said it. It felt right." She watched him closely, her grip still tight on his wrist. "Have we met before?" he asked. "No," she said. "You and I have never met." "I would remember." He looked confused. "Then how do I know your name?" She let go of his wrist and leaned back. Her breathing was fast. "That name hasn't been spoken in 100 years. Jace blinked. "That's impossible." "Exactly," she said. "Which means you're not just a pilot. Who sent you here?" "No one," he answered. "I was on patrol. I saw a strange signal, I followed it, found you." Her eyes narrowed. "You're lying." "I'm not." Lyra stood, a little shaky but strong enough to face him. Her silver hair moved gently, with the ship's soft air. She looked at the room, at the stars outside the window, then back at him. "You said the name, like you've said it before." Jace nodded slowly. "I've dreamed of it. For months. A silver-skinned woman standing near a broken city. I always wake up before I can speak to her, but this time, it was real." Lyra turned away and whispered something in a language Jace didn't understand. He walked closer. "Please. I'm not trying to hurt you, I just want to know what's going on." She looked over her shoulder. "If you know my name, then something is very wrong." "What do you mean?" Lyra walked toward the control panel and pressed a few buttons. A map appeared on the screen. An old map. It showed a planet marked with a golden star. "That world," she said. "Valerian. It was my home." Jace stared at it. "I've seen that in my dreams." Lyra's voice dropped to a whisper. "Valerian was destroyed a century ago. No human knows that name, not unless—" She stopped. Jace stepped closer. "Unless what?" She turned around slowly. "Unless they were part of it." The room went silent. Jace's heart beat faster. "What are you saying?" Lyra walked up to him. Close. Her glowing eyes locked onto his. "I don't know who you are," she said, "but if you remember me, if you know my name, then your past is not what you think it is." Jace swallowed hard. "Then help me remember." Lyra stared at him for a long moment. "First," she said softly, "you need to understand who you really are." Echoes in my mind. Jace sat in the co-pilot seat, staring at the stars. His mind felt heavy, confused, scared. The alien woman, Lyra, was in the back of the ship, silent for over an hour. She hadn't moved since she told him. His past might be different than he thought. Jace looked at his reflection in the glass. "Who am I?" he whispered. Lyra finally spoke. "You said you've seen me before. In your dreams. Describe it." Jace nodded. "In the dream, I'm standing in front of a large broken tower. It's raining. There's a woman standing there. You're looking at the sky. Then you turn to me and say, 'Find the truth.'" Lyra's face went still. "Do you know what that tower is?" she asked. Jace shook his head. "That tower is the beacon of Valerian," she said. "It was destroyed in the final attack before my people vanished." That phrase, "find the truth," was a message passed only through bonded minds. Jace frowned. Bonded minds? Lyra walked closer and held up her hand. A faint golden glow shimmered around her fingers. The Valari people had a secret gift. With deep trust, two minds could form a connection, a memory bond. We shared thoughts, feelings, and even pieces of our soul. She looked directly at him. "If you saw me in that dream, then you and I had a bond. Long ago." Jace took a step back. "No, that can't be. I'm just a human, a soldier. I grew up on Titan Station. I don't have alien memories." Lyra walked to a scanner. "Let's see." She activated a soft pulse over his chest. The machine beeped, then again, then glitched. "Strange," she whispered. "What is it?" She turned the screen. "You have something inside you, an ancient Valari memory marker. It's been locked, hidden." Jace's hands trembled. "I don't remember anything." "You were made to forget," she said gently. "To protect you." Jace stood quietly. Memories didn't come, but feelings did. He looked at Lyra. "I feel like I've known you forever, but I don't know why." She nodded. "That's the first sign." Jace walked toward her. "If I had a bond with you, if I'm connected to your past, then I want to understand it." Lyra hesitated. "There's one way to know for sure." She reached into her cloak and pulled out a mirror disc, a small round device with a glowing center. "This will read your buried memory and show us the truth. But it might hurt, and it might bring back things you're not ready to see." Jace nodded. "I need to know." He held the disc. It flashed once, blue, then gold, then white. Suddenly everything changed. Jace was no longer in the ship. He was in a field of silver trees under a green sky. He was younger, maybe a child. And Lyra was there, smiling, holding his hand. They ran through the trees, laughing. Then fire filled the sky. Screams. Explosions. Lyra knelt beside him, tears in her eyes. "You must forget me to live, but one day you'll return." She placed her glowing hand over his chest, a whisper. "I'll wait for you, Iliar." The memory ended. Jace dropped the disc. Breathing hard, Lyra caught him. "You saw it?" He nodded slowly. "My name was Iliar." She smiled sadly. "That was your name when you lived on Valerian." Jace sat down, overwhelmed. "All this time, I thought I was just a pilot." "No," she said, kneeling beside him. "You were the first human ever bonded to a Valari." She touched her forehead gently to his. "And now, you've returned." But their moment didn't last. Suddenly, the ship alarm screamed. A red light flashed. An unknown ship was approaching, fast. Jace stood up. "Is it a bounty hunter?" Lyra checked the radar. "No, it's worse. It's the ones who erased your memories. They found us." The lost star map. The enemy ship came in fast. Dark, silent, and powerful. Its sharp wings sliced through the void like a predator. On board their small vessel, Jace and Lyra had only seconds to react. "They found us too quickly," Lyra said. Her voice tense. "Can we outrun them?" Jace asked. "No," she said, already pressing buttons, "but we can hide." She pulled up a small cube from the storage panel, a cube with strange glowing lines carved across its surface. "This," she said, "is our only chance." The cube clicked as she twisted it open. A soft blue light filled the ship. A map began to form in the air, floating, spinning stars, paths, and unknown symbols. At the center glowed one word, written in the ancient Valari tongue. Jace stared at it. He couldn't read it, but he knew what it said. "Valerian," he whispered. Lyra's eyes widened. "You can read Valari?" "I don't know how." "But when?" "I see the letters, my mind just knows." She looked at him with awe. "You weren't just bonded, you were trained." Jace turned back to the map. A golden star blinked at the edge of the system. "What's that point there?" he asked. Lyra stepped closer. "That's the source vault, the place where all Valari memory bonds were first created. If we reach it, you might recover everything." Jace nodded. "Then we go." The ship shook violently as a warning shot hit the outer shield. "They're hailing us," Jace yelled. "Don't answer," Lyra said. "They'll use your voice to lock your DNA." She pushed the controls hard, sending the ship into a sharp spin. The map stayed floating between them, pulsing softly, guiding the way. "Can this ship jump?" Jace asked. "Only short range," Lyra answered. "But if we sync it with your memory crystal, it might boost enough power." He pulled the memory disk from his pocket, the one that unlocked his past. Lyra inserted it into the ship's. "Drive the entire cockpit lit up, now!" she shouted. Jace hit the hypershift lever. In a flash of blue and gold, they vanished into hyperspace, leaving the hunter ship spinning behind them. On the other side of the jump, they arrived near a dead moon, in the middle of nowhere. No planets, no signals, just quiet. "Are we in the wrong place?" Jace asked. "No," Lyra said. "We're right where we should be." She pointed at the moon. "It's not a moon. It's a shell. Valari tech, cloaking a world." She activated the cube again. The glowing map zoomed in. The star map twisted and the word changed. Home. They flew closer, and slowly the surface of the moon began to shift. Mountains became towers. Craters became gates. The entire structure was a hidden city. Valerian. The ship landed softly on a silver pad. The air was warm, artificial but breathable. Jace stepped out first, looking around. He had never been here, and yet it felt like he had. Every step made his heart beat faster. Every stone whispered old memories. "This place knows me," he said softly. Lyra nodded. "It remembers your bond. You were once a guardian of this city." Jace stopped. "That doesn't make sense. I was just a child. How could I be a guardian?" She looked at him. "You weren't alone. I trained with you. We trained together." They reached the center of the city. A large crystal door stood closed. Lyra touched it. Nothing happened. Then Jace placed his hand on the stone. It glowed bright gold. The door opened. Inside, a massive chamber shone with floating orbs, memories swirling through. Lyra gasped. "This is the full star map," she said. "Every lost memory, every forgotten truth, all here." But before they could step further, a deep voice echoed through the chamber. "Return the bond, or be destroyed." Jace turned fast. A new figure stepped from the shadows, tall, armored, and holding a weapon made of dark matter. Lyra whispered, terrified, "It's the Guardian Slayer." What we were, the chamber grew cold. The light from the star map dimmed. Standing in front of Jace and Lyra was a tall, armored figure, his body made of dark crystal and metal, his face hidden behind a silver mask. His voice echoed like thunder inside the room. "You were never meant to return." Jace stood still, staring at the figure. "Who are you?" The figure stepped forward slowly. "I am the Guardian Slayer. I was built to protect the galaxy from your kind." Lyra narrowed her eyes. "You mean from the Valari?" "No," the figure replied. "From the bonded." He lifted a hand. A flash of dark energy shot toward them. Lyra pulled Jace back just in time, the blast missing by inches and exploding behind them. "Run!" she shouted, but Jace didn't run. He looked up at the glowing orbs above. They were moving. One was glowing gold. His name, Eliar, was floating inside it. He jumped up and touched it. The orb shattered and the memory flooded in. Jace saw himself as a boy around 9 years old standing in a silver garden on Valerian. He was holding Lyra's hand. She looked older, stronger, maybe 17. She was his teacher, protector, and something more. In the memory, she was crying. "The council says the bond must be broken. They fear our connection." "But I don't want to forget you," the young Jace said. "You won't," Lyra whispered. "One day you'll come back. You'll say my name. And I'll remember, too." The vision ended. Jace dropped to his knees, gasping. Lyra ran to him. "Did you see?" He nodded. "We were bonded. You raised me. You trained me. But they forced you to erase it." She touched his face gently. "I never wanted to forget you." He looked into her eyes. "Neither did I." The Guardian Slayer roared and charged forward. Lyra stepped in front of Jace, her hands glowing with golden light. This time, she didn't. "Run!" She fought. Blades of light shot from her hands, striking the Slayer and knocking him back. His armor cracked. He growled in rage. Jace stood up, eyes glowing too now. The memory orb had unlocked more than the past. It had awakened something inside him. Together, they stood, two lights against the darkness. The Slayer raised his weapon, but Jace moved faster, blasting him with pure white energy. Lyra followed, combining her light with his. The energy wrapped around the dark figure and shattered his armor. He dropped to his knees. "It was never about control," Lyra said. "It was about fear," Jace added. "But love isn't something to fear." The Guardian Slayer fell silent. His body faded into dust. The chamber grew quiet again. The glowing orbs began to rise slowly, one by one, returning to the sky above. The star map was safe. For now. Lyra turned to Jace, tears in her eyes. "I remember everything now. You were the last child chosen for the Valari bond. You were human, but you had the heart of our people." He took her hand. "I remember too. The garden, the promise, your voice." She smiled. "And now?" He held her close. "Now we finish what we started." Outside the chamber, the ancient city of Valerian began to wake. Lights returned to the towers. Doors opened that had been shut for a century. Somewhere deep in the core, a signal pulsed, sending a message to the stars. The bond has returned. The hunt begins. The pulse from Valerian's core didn't stop. It moved across space like a ripple in water, passing through satellites, bouncing off starships, and reaching ears that had long hoped Valerian was gone forever. Within hours, the galaxy began to stir. Far from the hidden city, in a tall black tower orbiting a red star, a man in silver robes stood still. He was Chancellor Varric, leader of the Galactic Council. An officer rushed into the room, panic in his voice. "Sir, the Valari signal, it's active." Varric turned, eyes sharp and full of fear. "Which bond pair?" The officer hesitated. "Lyra, and a human. A boy once thought lost. His name is Eliar." The Chancellor's face went pale. "Send the hunters. They must not leave that planet alive." Back on Valerian, Jace and Lyra stood at the edge of the city, looking at the glowing sky. "The signal. It's calling others," Jace said. Lyra nodded. "It's waking everything. The memories, the truth, and not just ours. Other Valari bonds may start to return. But that also means they'll come for us." She turned to him. "They always feared the bond. It was too strong. It made war harder. Because when you love, you don't destroy." Jace looked out into the stars. "So we'll be hunted? For love?" Lyra smiled sadly. "For reminding them what they've lost." The next day, they prepared to leave. They loaded the memory, Crystal, the map, and the last seed of the Valari garden. A silver flower glowing in a stasis jar. Where do we go? Jace asked. Anywhere we can spread the truth, Lyra answered. Anywhere the story hasn't been silenced. They stepped onto the ship, but before the hatch could close, alarms blared. Jace ran to the cockpit. 3 hunter ships were approaching. Fast. They found us, he said. Faster than I expected. Lyra stood behind him. We can't fight them all. Jace looked at the glowing map on the console. No, he said. But we can lead them away. They flew upward, engines roaring, breaking through Valerian's clouds. The hunters followed, fast and silent. Laser beams lit the sky. The ship shook. Shields at 30%, Jace shouted. Lyra's fingers danced over the control panel. Rerouting power from life support. The stars blurred as they reached the edge of the system. Inside one of the hunter ships, a masked commander gave the order. Bring back the human's body. Kill the girl if you must. But in the cockpit, Jace was already 1 step ahead. Lyra. The wormhole, is it still stable? She checked the screen. Barely. Then hold on. He pressed the hypershift. The ship jolted forward, entering the unstable wormhole with the hunters close behind. Inside, light bent and twisted. Everything shimmered. Jace gripped the controls. The ship creaked. Sparks flew. We're gonna make it, he said. Then, boom! 1 hunter ship exploded, crashing into another. Only 1 remained. Jace spun the ship sideways, flying through a narrow energy split. They burst out the other side, into an empty, dark zone between systems. The last hunter was gone. For now. They floated in silence. The ship was damaged but alive. So were they. Lyra leaned her head back. They'll keep coming. Jace nodded. But now we're not running. She looked at him. What do you mean? Jace smiled. We're going to make sure the whole galaxy remembers Valerian. Later that night, as they camped inside the ship's small sleep pod, Lyra watched a projection of the old Valari garden. Jace sat beside her. This flower, he said, pointing to the glowing silver bloom. What is it? Lyra touched it gently. It's called a memory lily. When it blooms, it carries all the thoughts of the person who planted it. Who planted this one? She turned to him, eyes soft. You did. When you were a child. Trial among stars. The council tower was the most guarded place in the galaxy. It floated in orbit around a golden gas giant, shining with power and pride. Very few had ever entered it by choice. Jace and Lyra were the first bond pair in 100 years to stand before the Galactic Council, not in chains, but by their own will. The doors opened slowly. A long hall stretched before them, lined with rows of powerful leaders, humans, aliens, machines. The Chancellor Varric sat at the highest seat, watching them like a hawk. Step forward, Varric commanded. They obeyed. State your purpose, he said coldly. Jace looked up, voice clear and calm. We came to share the truth. The Valari bond lives. We are proof. Whispers filled the chamber. Lyra stepped forward. The bond you tried to erase is not dangerous. It was never a weapon. It was trust, connection, and yes, love. Varric's eyes narrowed. You speak of love in a chamber of law? Yes, Jace said, because you made a law against memory, against feeling, against peace. One of the judges, a woman with robotic eyes, leaned forward. Do you have proof of this bond? Lyra reached into her cloak and revealed the memory lily. Its silver petals glowed as it floated in a stasis orb. This was grown by Eliar, before his memory was taken. This flower holds truth. Let it speak. They placed the orb in the center of the hall. It opened. A soft light spread out. Then came the voices. The council heard a child's laugh, young Eliar, and Lyra's voice teaching him. They heard promises, made under stars, tears and goodbye, and the words, when you return, I'll remember you. The chamber fell silent. No one spoke for a long time. Then the Chancellor rose. Enough. His voice was sharp. Bonding caused war before. The Valari couldn't control it. And now it begins again. This isn't peace. It's history repeating. Jace stepped forward. You're wrong. This bond doesn't cause war, your fear does. Varric scowled. Then let the galaxy decide. We will send this recording to every system. A pause. But if they turn against you, Jace didn't blink. Then we'll still have each other. Outside the chamber, news of their return spread fast. On Earth, people gathered to watch. On Nyara, alien citizens stared at the sky. The Memory Lily broadcast showed every race the power of the bond, not just magic but feeling. Not control but connection. Some cried, some smiled, some felt hope for the first time in years. 3 days later, the council held its vote. Each world sent its answer, and one by one, the results came in. Yes, yes, yes. More yes. In the end, 92% of the galaxy voted to lift the ban on Valari bonding. The ancient law was broken. Chancellor Varric stood silently as the final result was read. Then he turned to Jace and Lyra. You've won, but if you lose control, if your powers bring harm, we won't, Lyra said gently, because we remember what happened last time. Varric gave a small nod. Then go. Your galaxy is waiting. Outside the tower, hundreds stood to see them off. Reporters tried to speak to them. People handed them flowers, questions, letters. A young girl ran up to Jace. Are you the boy from the dream? Jace knelt and smiled. Yes. She hugged him. Then thank you for coming back. Back, on the ship, Jace and Lyra looked out into space. So, what now? He asked. Lyra looked at him with quiet joy. Now we begin again. Only memory that matters. The stars stretched out like a glowing sea. Jace and Lyra sat side by side in the ship's cockpit, quietly watching the view. It had been 3 weeks since the vote. 3 weeks since the galaxy chose truth over fear. The DO bond was no longer hidden, no longer a secret. It was real, and it was free. Jace looked at Lyra. You okay? She nodded slowly. I feel quiet inside. For the first time in years. They had returned to Valerian, not to rebuild it as a capital, but to plant something new. The ancient city had become a garden of memory. The star map chamber now held thousands of memory lilies, glowing like stars trapped in glass. Each one a story. Each one a life once lost, now remembered. Jace walked through the paths, watching the lights. Lyra joined him. You started all this, she said softly. He smiled. I was just a scared boy with a name I didn't understand. She laughed gently. You were more than that. You always were. That night, under the open sky of Valerian, Lyra lit a small fire. They sat beside it, wrapped in a shared blanket. Jace looked up. Do you think others will bond again? Lyra nodded. They already are. Every day someone else remembers. Someone else dreams. He leaned back, arms behind his head. I never thought I'd be part of something this big. You were never small, she said. Even when you were just a boy. He turned to her, smiling. Then I need to say something. Lyra tilted her head. What? Jace sat up. I've remembered a lot these last few days. Pieces from before. Visions. Voices. She waited. He took her hand. But the one thing I never forgot was your name. She blinked, surprised. You said it before I ever spoke it. To you. You felt it before you even understood it. He leaned closer. Lyra. I love you. For a moment she just stared. Then slowly a warm smile grew on her face, and she whispered the word he'd been waiting for. Finally. The stars shimmered above them. Lyra placed her hand on his heart, and just like that a new bond formed, not from the past, but from this moment. It glowed not with power, but with peace, with promise, with love. Weeks later, the galaxy changed again. Other bond pairs came forward, human and alien, machine and organic, child and elder, old enemies, now friends. Jace and Lyra didn't lead them. They didn't become rulers or heroes, they became gardeners, protectors of memory, keepers of truth. One day, as Lyra walked through the garden paths, a small child asked her, "Do all these flowers talk?" Lyra smiled. "They do, if you listen close enough." "What do they say?" the child asked. She bent down, whispering. "They say, we were here, we were real, and we loved." At the edge of the garden, Jace added one more memory lily. This one was simple. It glowed blue and gold. No sound came from it, no message, just a single name. Lyra. He stood quietly. Then Lyra walked up behind him. "Why did you make that one?" she asked. He looked at her. "Because in the end, that's the only memory that matters."